set the pace for our discussion on the program this morning? Justin.
All right, we're looking at the proscription of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and all the other matters arising on the show. And joining us this morning to look at that in our Lagos studio is Barrister Abbas Ahmed. Good morning to you. Many thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Barrister, for joining us on the program this morning. All right, we've been talking about this for more than a week now. In fact, we've discussed it on this program, and that declaration of IPOB as a terrorist organization has sort of incensed a lot of Nigerians because according to a lot of legal luminaries we spoke with, it is a declaration made in error. But while listening to that report, a certain statement caught my attention. In a case where there is a need for an urgent, court action, can you jump protocol? Do you understand my question?
I understand.
In case of urgency.
Yeah. Thank you. In law, we have substantive laws and we have procedural law. The substantive law defines rights, duties, offenses, what constitutes offense. And in the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011, Section 1 listed plethora of acts that will be deemed acts of terrorism.
Okay.
And in those acts, not even one single measure of the carrying of arms. It says if you mobilize to overwhelm and intimidate the society, intimidate the government, intimidate institutions of state, it can be deemed to be an act of
terrorism.
If you mobilize people to compel the government or prevent the government from carrying out its legitimate duty or compelling the government to act in tandem with your objective, it can be deemed. For example, if the state sends its army to go to Mile 12 to quench a riot, and between Mile 12 and K2, you mobilize your men to barricade the road and prevent them from going to carry out their legitimate function.
Assignment, okay.
That act could be termed act of terrorism.
Okay.
Then procedurally, like I said, in law, you have the substantive law, which is what I've just explained. Now, it defines what will constitute an offense.
Yes.
And you also have procedural law that tells you, like, look, when there is a breach of this law, this is how you approach it. In that same Terrorism Act, it made provision, and the provision is very, very clear and simple. Sometimes you may argue, oh, the law is not good, wasn't right, but that is the law. The law simply says the Attorney General of the Federation, the Inspector General of the Federation, or the National Security Advisor can, via an application to a judge in chamber, pray for an order prescribing an organization. Simpliciter.
Okay, fine.
Do you understand me? Very simple. That's what it made provision. It did not make provision that the other party must be put on notice.
So he could just attend.
The law says, it says either the Attorney General,
the Inspector
General, the NSA, via an application. It did not even prescribe whether application on notice or ex parte. He said application to a judge in chamber. That is not even a full-fledged court. It must not. Once there's an urgency,
so the government was right after all.
By the provisions of that law. You may have problem with the law, but the provision, that is how it was provided.
Okay, fine. Let us look at reactions that have actually trailed this proscription and all of that. Looking at what the international community, has said so far. They say it is actually not. They are actually not the terrorist organization. That's IPOB, and the special advisor to the president, that's on prosecution, Okoye Obona, is saying that whatever statement they are saying right now is inconsequential. How does this make us look in the face of the international community?
Let me, as a friend of this house, I'm a very, very, I'm not always sentimental. Yes, I will always say it. I'm not a diplomat. I don't have the capacity to speak from two sides of my mouth. The honest truth is that I will also tell you the honest truth. They are expressing their personal opinion.
Okay.
Probably because they have followed the trend of IPOB from inception. If you ask me, my personal opinion, I do not see IPOB as a terrorist organization.
Okay.
I just see people agitating for a good cause, adopting a wrong method.
Okay.
That's what I would see. So I think it's from that school of thought that the international community is also responding, because from inception, the objective, everybody knew that the objective of IPOB was not to constitute itself into a terror organization. The intention was to draw attention to what they deem is marginalization, the frustrations and the pains and the deprivations in the society, in the system. So I think it is from that school of thought that is the international community is looking at it and saying, look, I think you are getting it wrong. Even though I sympathize with the government, because the government is also trying to ensure that we do not find ourselves in a Boko Haram scenario.
Exactly.
You know, because people blamed all previous government that the reason why Boko Haram first had and became a monster,
they didn't curtail it
leave
on
it
time.
in the board.
Yes.
Like me, like I tell people, when Kanu came out from prison, granted bail, and his shorties were eminent Igbo personalities, eminent men even paid him a courtesy visit, solidarity visit.
Yes.
It should have been a time for Kanu to sit down and say, look, listen, this thing is bigger than me. Please, how do we midwife this thing? I'm pregnant with a society in Nigeria that is just, where everybody can become whatever you want to be. Not necessarily because you are from the north, south, and west or east. How do we make this a reality? He will throw back that objective back to the intellectuals in the Igbo community. And I'm sure that we have brilliant people from the southeast that will help to midwife it. Because he's a pilot, he's seeing a bigger picture. And it needs to be guided. But shunning, shunning some elites, some intelligentials, the traditional rulers, the governors, mark you, the issue of proscription, even the southeast governors
are in on it.
Yes. They actually proscribe IPOB in the whole of the southeast because he was becoming an irritant
the
to
activities
them.
were
They were fighting a lone battle.
Yes, because the methodology was wrong.
Not the agenda itself was
not
wrong.
The agenda.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I will stand by the agenda to restructure Nigeria and ensure that every Nigerian, whether Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, or Hausa or Fulani, can pursue their aspiration without fear, without any connection.
Okay.
Being able to give expression to your God-given talent. I will subscribe to whatever template we put on ground to ensure. No nation. You see, when you begin to say you are raising up a secret police, you are raising up an army, that's trying to, to be a sovereign state within a sovereign state.
Exactly.
And no nation will allow, because only the federal government of any nation is empowered to monopolize the tool of violence through organized armed force.
Okay. All right. We'll come back, Barrister Abbas. Let's go to Ibadan for a bit. We have on standby a political scientist, Dr. Gbade Ojo. Good morning, Dr. Ojo. Thanks for joining us on the program this morning. Now, we're discussing the prescription of IPOB. I want to ask, based on the remarks by the United Nations on the prescription of this group, and also, I know that Nigeria is part of the UN, but we are also a sovereign nation. Do you think the UN, the US, can actually butt into our affairs at will, that like they always seem to do every time, and challenge us as we are a sovereign nation?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you very much. The role of the UN and the US in our internal affairs is absolutely advisory. The UN and the US has no role to play in the decision of the federal government vis-a-vis the proscription or de-proscription of IPOB. It is an internal affair. Note that IPOB that was proscribed by the federal government has the right to prescribe them. Whether the organization was registered or not, the permanent responsibility of any government that what it sought is maintenance of law and order. What is controversial, however, is whether to tag IPOB a terrorist organization or not, because a terrorist organization is a nihilist. Terrorism is about destruction. wanting destruction of life and property. But IPOB is not a terrorist organization. It is simply about ethnic nationalism. We know what IPOB is fighting about. They want the Igbo to secede from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And when we are talking about secession, which is alien to the 1999 Constitution, it means what IPOB is pursuing, we call it irredentist claim. So government will not fold its arm and allow IPOB to keep on mobilizing with a military wing and wreak havoc. So that is the issue. But the role of the UN and the US is simply advisory. They cannot intimidate us, and there is nothing they can do about it. Nigeria is a sovereign country. But because of global peace and the implication of not maintaining peace in any segment of the whole world, the UN could advise, the US could advise, because if care is not taken, refugee crisis will still bounce back on the UN and the US.
So, Ojo, now let us just examine some reactions we are seeing. I want to even get your own reactions. From what we hear from reports, the President, Muhammad Buhari, is expected to appoint an administrator who would oversee the forfeiture of IPOB's asset home and abroad. And they've also said that any country that's foreign mission that fails to respect Nigeria's stance on this will be seen as unfriendly to the country. What's your reaction concerning those statements?
See, Nigeria as a country has no power or right to prescribe IPOB outside Nigeria. There is what we call freedom of association, and they could gather together anywhere in the world as an association. Nigeria has no power beyond our territorial confine. But this may be a very wonderful opportunity to advise IPOB and the Igbos generally that they may need to re-strategize. They may need to think twice on what to do and how to pursue their ambition. If you want to secede and it is not in the Constitution, then you can think better. Look at Yoruba as an ethnic stock. Rather than war, Yoruba will judge. That's what we call psychological warfare. When the June 12 election result was annulled, if it were to be Igbos, it could result into war. Yoruba went into psychological warfare and they achieved their aim. They can go into alliance, they can go into coalition. And federal government has a role to play in terms of reorientation. If the Igbos are perpetually feeling sense of marginalization in the federal arrangement, it is the responsibility of the federal government to convince them that they are being taken care of, if they are being taken care of. And the political elites among the Igbos, they should do that. Kanu too should tell us what really does he want. How does he want? If you have Igbo nation today, how does he want to run it? If there is a referendum tomorrow, it seems sure that majority of the Igbos, they will vote for secession. It happens in Quebec, it happens in UK, and they had a referendum. So rather than war, killing people, destroying properties, is to go for intellectual solution, intellectual way out, rather than wasting lives of innocent people. So Nigeria cannot go all out to prescribe IPOB outside Nigeria.
Get it out. Maybe the laws can only, be operational within our borders and all of that. But then, if as a Nigerian you live in the diaspora, are you not somehow, binded by that law to respect the laws of the country that you are a national of? I just need to ask that.
You see? I just ask that. No, you cannot, you respect a law that can be enforced where you are. You respect a law that you believe internally that it is sensible. For instance, in US, in UK, in Russia, all over the world, you have the Yorubas that are meeting. Egbeoma Ududua. They hold their conventions in different countries of the world. Nobody can make a law that will say Nigerians in the US should not meet. If the law in the US does not prescribe them. So Igbos can meet, they can group and regroup anywhere in the world, but the law can only be enforced within the territorial confines of Nigeria. That is the truth. That is the truth.
But the Ojo, a political scientist who joined us from Ibadan to speak on the issues on the IPOB prescription. I still want you to react to that concerning where he stopped as regards IPOB prescription even outside Nigeria and the federal government making moves to forfeit their assets.
The federal government's power of prescription resides only within the territorial boundaries of Nigeria.
Okay.
But however, what the government can do is through diplomatic circle.
Okay.
If IPOB is existing, registered in California like they said, owning properties and all the rest of them, the government could subtly, through diplomatic channels, put pressure on the United States government to say, look, this organization is constituting a threat to the corporate existence of Nigeria.
Okay.
Please, we want you to use your influence to put pressure on them or to take away whatever be the privileges and advantages they are enjoying over there.
Okay.
They can adopt that, but they do not. We do not have the power to, except we follow due process over there. If there are processes for prescribing organizations over there, it is incumbent on the government to go over there, bring an action, and provide the court with evidence to show that this organization back at home is a terror organization and it is receiving its funding and assets from the United States of America, and in order to dry up the source of fund, we need to prescribe it here also. And if the court deems it fit and listen to their own side of the argument and think it is so, it will do.
Okay.
But beyond that,
I think I understand that. I also understand that, like, as a country, we don't need the approval of any other country, you know, to contain terrorist threats within our borders. Having said that, let's x-ray some of our laws, especially those ones that have to deal with internal security. You know, how flexible really are these laws, you know, so that they can deal with issues as they emerge?
for me, as a student of Nigerian history that have interrogated our institutions, I think even the issue of IPOB is something that ordinarily the police could have been able to contain.
Okay.
But as we speak, in terms of manpower, you have almost half of your police officers guiding VIPs. So you don't even have the requisite manpower in terms of numbers to contain whatever be the insurgency in the southeast, because majority of our policemen are actually guiding politicians. You see one politician with about 20, 30, 40 police officers. And yet, in terms of a UN regulation, we are actually under-policed as of today. Even the ones you have that are not even sufficient to guide and protect the entire society. You still have large chunk of them guiding, VIPs and all the rest of them. And secondly, how equipped are our police officers? Like I tell people, you cannot in this 21st century provide security for a nation of over 120 million without massive investment in technology. With massive, sometimes you see assassination, you see murder, and you don't, even in those highbrow areas like your GRO, Ikeja here, your Lekki Phase 1, when armed robbers come, they raid freely and they go. You don't even have CCTV around. Whereas we are told, I don't know how, I think in London, the London city alone has about 2 million or 4 million cameras. Yes, in the city of London. So you can actually go to one forest and go and dress up like a masquerade and thinking you are coming to commit offense in the city center. You won't know that camera has actually picked you, because it actually happened sometimes in 2015. Some boys went to one part of London, very rural area, to go and dress up and come to carry out, some form of a demonstration and a riot and all the rest of them. And in the process of reviewing the CCTV all over, and they nabbed them. So what I'm trying to say is that we cannot provide adequate security in this 21st century without massive investment in technology.
Okay, we'll come back to you now. Let us go straight now to Abuja. We are being joined by the convener of Concerned Nigerians, Deji Adeyonju. Many thanks for joining us on Galaxy today. We are looking at the prescription of IPOB this morning. I want to get your take concerning this whole matter. In the first instance, just yesterday, IPOB in a statement were actually lauding some ethnic groups, Afenifere and all of that, who are actually standing by them. So most people would say they're actually fighting a lone battle, but as it seems, some ethnic groups in Nigeria are supporting their cause.
Thank you for having me on the show. You know, the issues that IPOB are raising, issues of marginalization, are issues that are similar to many zones in the country face these issues. For instance, if you come to Kogi, you come to Benue, you come to Nasarawa, you come to Plateau, you see marginalization. So, you know, these issues are not new. You know, again, I must make a point very clear, extremely clear, that the IPOB members, they are not terrorists, as it's been said by the government. Every Nigerian has the right to protest or make agitations, you know, but the way they go about it is what many of us have issues about. You don't say because you want a referendum or you want restructuring, therefore you preach hate against Igbos or Hausas or Yorubas. You understand? We live in a country where, you know, we are bound together, you know, and if you say you have anything against the present composition of the country, you go through, you know, the constitution allowed means to seek redress, you know. So we believe that members of IPOB should do the right thing. You know, there are laid down procedures for almost everything they seek. You know, it's very simple. You know, you don't go about threatening people. You don't go about searching for Hausa people inside a bus. You know, and those things are just, you know, they are trying to instigate violence across the country. Because if people in the north decide to do same, they will not ask for who is Igbo or who is Yoruba or who is Ijaw. They are just going to go and attack everyone who is not Hausa. You know, so these are very delicate issues, you know, and I believe that the elders in the East need to guide Nnamdi Kanu, who is still reasonably very young, you know, and who does not even have an idea what happened during the Civil War. So we are all concerned as Nigerians because many of us who live up here in the north. These things will affect us whether we are Igbos or not, you know. So we do not want a situation where anyone will go and attack any Hausa person in the East, because there will be reprisals in the north. You know, so these are very simple issues. People are free to agitate, but they must do these agitations within the ambit of the law, and they must do it without hate. You don't preach hate against Hausa or Yoruba people, and you expect people to just keep quiet and look at you. Things like this cannot continue to, you know, we cannot continue to tolerate things like this in the country. You know, Nnamdi Kanu needs to be reined in. People need to talk to him, and they need to make him realize that most of the things he's saying, you know, no one has any issue against him making agitations or talking about. Many of them complain about marginalization. Come to my state, Kogi, and see what marginalization is. Come to Kogi and see what marginalization is. The issues that Nnamdi Kanu is raising about people in Abia State, are those issues worse than the issues in my state? Are people in my state not marginalized? Are people in my state not complaining of marginalization? You know, so the issues being raised or being canvassed are they are cross board in the country, from the southwest to the north central to the northeast. You understand, where Boko Haram has ravaged, there are issues of marginalization. So in every area in the country we have these issues. People must go about these agitations, whether for referendum or for restructuring. You must go about it as stipulated in our laws. If you want referendum, what do? There's no referendum in the Constitution. You must seek for constitutional amendment. If you want restructuring, there's no restructuring in our Constitution. You must seek for constitutional amendment. So these are simple issues, you know, but we must go about it in the ways that have been stipulated by our laws.
You are for following due process and all of that. Now, we're all talking about Nnamdi Kanu's agitations and all of that. I found it really surprising, you know, that a huge chunk of the southeastern elders who should have been in support of this agenda, since it was supposed to be their agitation, you know, are not really in support of all of this. They really don't key into it. They don't buy into the vision. Now, I'm asking, if Nnamdi Kanu is actually speaking the minds of the Igbos, how come we don't have unity from that front? What does that tell us really about the said agitations? Are they genuine, or is it for another intention? Is it a selfish purpose attached to all of this really?
The people that witnessed the civil war, they understand, and they understand these issues more. So you can see many of the elders disassociating themselves from Nnamdi Kanu. You can see the governors disassociating themselves from him, because they do not want innocent people to die. For instance, we all watched that video on the internet where they were searching for Hausa people in a bus. Imagine the reprisal that thing will have caused if there were Hausa people in that bus, and imagine what will have happened. Imagine what will have happened if there were reprisals in the north. There will be counter reprisals in the southeast. So people that witnessed the civil war, they understand the issues. They know how delicate these issues are. They know that you cannot come and be preaching hate against your fellow countrymen and women and expect things to be business as usual. One thing that we must appreciate is that IPOB does not speak for Igbos. You understand? IPOB does not speak for the Igbo race. That has been made clear by most of the comments by the leaders and many people from the southeast. Yes, some members of IPOB are dissatisfied with the way things are being run in the country. Am I not dissatisfied with the way things are being run in the country? Is Nigeria currently working? No, it is not working. Are people in my state, Kogi State, or Benue, or Taraba, or Plateau, are they not dissatisfied? What is Nnamdi Kanu saying that I can relate to almost everything? Issues of underdevelopment, issues of people not having a say in the country. Those are the key issues. So the issues that he's saying, he's raising, are not new issues. But we are saying that in raising some of these issues, stop the tribalism, stop the hate messages, stop making it sound as if Hausa are enemies of Igbo people. Stop making it sound as if Yorubas are enemies of Igbo people. Nobody is an enemy of anybody. Our problem in Nigeria is just we have a leadership problem. You understand? Even if you restructure this current Nigeria into family units, there will still be a problem. In as long as we do not solve our leadership problem, we should stop electing people who don't mean well for the country. Because imagine if most of the Southeast governors mean well for their people. Will the Southeast not be more developed than it is currently? Imagine if we have committed and competent leaders in Nigeria. Will the federal government not have built the second Niger bridge? So those are the issues. Those are the basic issues, and not issues of preaching hate and being to the merchant of tribalism in the country. War will not benefit anyone, whether in the north or in the south or in the east. It's just going to lead to the loss of innocent lives, and that's what we must allow to happen again.
Quick question to you. Just yesterday, 60 members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, were remanded in prison custody in Umuahia. According to the public relations officer of the state police command, they were charged with conspiracy, terrorism, attempted murder, membership of unlawful society, rioting, among others. In your opinion, do you think the arraignment is in order?
You see, every Nigerian has a right to protest, whether they be IPOB, whether they be IDPs, whoever they are. You have the right to protest. You understand? But we have heard of allegations that some members of IPOB killed a police officer and they burnt a police station. If it is true, they must be brought to book. Then if that is what they are being alleged of, then it is right for the police to have charged them to court. It is right for them to be remanded. Anyone who breaks the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria must be brought to account, because Nigeria is not a banana republic. And as of today, nobody can come and declare republic inside this republic called Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is unlawful for anyone to say he wants to declare republic, within this republic. It's unlawful. So if these young men have constituted themselves into a law unto themselves, then they must be made to face the music that this is a country that has rules and regulations. If you have issues with this country and the way things are presently constituted, you will go about it in the right way. For decades now, the Afenifere and Odudua people have been asking for restructuring the country. Have you ever seen them insulting Igbos? Have you ever seen them spreading hate messages against Igbos, that Igbos are the enemies of Yoruba people, or the Hausa are the enemies of Yoruba people? That is the lesson that the Nnamdi Kanu and the IPOB people need to learn. They need to learn that in agitating for what they like, they must not insult the collective interests of other ethnic groups in the country. By seeking to get Biafra, they must not denigrate other people. You know, where they are getting it wrong is they insult other people, but they want, for other people expressing their opinions, but they want their opinions to be respected. That's not how